Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopichana Vallabha Girivaradhari Pichana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopichana Vallabha Girivaradhari Chana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brachajana Ranjana Sanandana Brachajana Yashodanandana Brachajana Ranjana Dana Brachajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Tira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo Gaur Premanande Hari Haribo. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivraj Gacharya Sutra Satyashmadesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Gaur Premanande. Glorious to the assembled devotees, glorious to the assembled devotees, all glorious to Shishiguru. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayotiraye Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtikir. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 10, Text 11 today. Huh? That's the advantage of books. You don't have to download them like physical books. I'm depending here on my iPad, but yeah. Okay, let's first just read it. Jivan mritatvam nitjamena rajan. Jivan mritatvam niyamena rajan. Adyantavad yat vikratasya drishtam. Adyantavad yat vikratasya drishtam. Svasvam yapavo dhruva ityayatra. Svasvam yapavo dhruva ityayatra. Taryuchate sau vidikritya yogaha. Taryuchate sau vidikritya yogaha. Jivan mritatvam niyamena rajan. Adyantavad yat vikritasya drishtam. Svasvam yabhavo dhruva ityavidyatra. Taryuchate so vidikritya yogaha. Charachan. Adyantavadya virkitasya drishtam. Svasvamya bhavo dhruva ityayatra. Taryuchate so vidikritya yoga. Jivat mritatvam. The quality of being dead while living. Niyamena. By the laws of nature. Rajan. O king. Adi antavat. Everything material has a beginning and an end. Yat. Because. Vikritasya. Of things that are transformed. Such as the body. Dristam is seen. Svasamya bhava, the condition of servanthood and mastership. Dhruvaha, unchangeable. Itya, O you who are worshipped. Yatra, wherein. Tari, then. Uchyate, it is said. Asau, that. Vidhi kritya yogaha, fitness of order and duty. Translation and purpose by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we continue hearing the words of Jada Bharat to King Rahuganath. My dear king, you have unnecessarily accused me of being dead though alive. In this regard, I can only say that this is the case everywhere, because everything material has its beginning and end. As far as you're thinking that you are the king and master and are thus trying to order me, this is also incorrect, because these positions are temporary. Today, you are the king and I'm your servant, but tomorrow the position may be changed. And you may be my servant and I your master. These are temporary circumstances created by providence. Purport. The bodily conception is the basic principle of suffering in material existence. In Kali Yuga especially, people are so uneducated that they cannot even understand that the body is changing at every moment and that the ultimate change is called death. In this life one may be a king, and in the next life one may be a dog, according to the karma. The spiritual soul is in a deep slumber caused by the force of material nature. He is put in one type of condition and again changed into another type. Without self-realization and knowledge, conditioned life continues, and one falsely claims himself a king, a servant, or a cat, or a dog. These are simply different transformations brought about by the supreme arrangement. One should not be misled by such temporary bodily conceptions. Actually, no one is master within the material world, for everyone is under the control of material nature, which is under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna, is the ultimate master. As explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ekla Ishvara Krishna Ara Shabhabhritya. The only master is Krishna, and everyone else is his servant. Forgetfulness of our relationship with the Supreme Lord brings about our suffering in the material world. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Maha Shri Chaitanya Namo Pistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svatam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Paditanam Papanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, so here Jada Bharat basically replies to the king, and previously King Rahuganath in text 7 he made these statements. Are you dead despite the life within your body? Are you dull? You're not even able to carry a palanquin. So although you seem to be like a person who is living, but actually you're so dull that you're like dead. And The second thing he says in text 7, don't you know that I'm your master? And basically saying, you are disobeying me. Why do you disobey me? Because I'm your master. So that's two of the statements that the king makes. And in today's shloka, Jadabharat, he responds to these two specific points. Are you dead despite the life within your body? And don't you know that I'm your master? And Jadabharat very powerfully replies. And this is, that's the beauty of the Bhagavatam. I personally we find so many discussions in the Bhagavatam with powerful conversations, isn't it? And these conversations, we can basically associate or hear dialogue of such sadhus, self-realized souls, which is paravidya. It's transcendental knowledge, which is a kind of knowledge that is very rare in this world. In this world we have this, what is called Jada Vidya, like just material knowledge. If you go to university, so much books, so much professors, so much study, but all the study is basically, it's all material. It's all material knowledge. There's no transcendental knowledge being taught. But when you open the pages of Bhagavatam, you find just on every page such powerful transcendental knowledge. And I would like to talk a little bit about this transformation by instruction. We remember our Keshav Maharaj gave this seminar in the Swiss retreat on the triggers of transformation. And the first of these triggers of transformation is transformation by instruction, which is the most basic and one of the most powerful ways that someone can experience transformation, especially by hearing the words of a sadhu. And yesterday we heard a beautiful class by Sakhi Charan Madachi on the importance of hearing, so we'll touch a bit on that also. The importance of sound vibration and instruction. So here we have basically two instructions. The first one is that the king says, are you dead despite the life within your body? And he answers, well, actually, everything in this material world is death. Like all matter is death. There is nothing which is alive in this material world. Like, of course we understand this table here, this is death matter, it's just wood. But actually this body is also dead matter. The only reason that I'm able to speak and move my hands is because there is a soul. I'm as a soul or inside this body. And by the soul's presence, that death matter becomes alive. So in that sense, in this world, whatever we see is actually dead. And it's only the Jiva, the Atma, and of course the Paramatma, because Krishna, as the Paramatma, he enters in every atom and basically is all pervasive in the whole universe, and this way holds the whole creation. But it's the Atma, the Paramatma, who are of spiritual nature and who bring life into the material world. So to say that, are you dead despite life within your body? Actually, everyone is death. Everything is death. The only reason why we are alive is because there is a soul. And of course, in another way, we can also say any person who is not Krishna consciousness is really death. Like in a sense, only through Krishna conscious, someone actually comes to life in a real sense, and that life is Krishna consciousness, or as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati would say, those who have life they can preach, and those who actually have life they can preach and they can give life to others. Meaning, those who are actually Krishna conscious, those who are fully absorbed and fully and that their whole consciousness is filled with Krishna and with spiritual knowledge, then they actually can preach, they actually can give something, because they got the connection. So then this is one aspect that Jada Bharat says here, and the king said, "Are you dead despite the life in your body?" Well, matter is death, everything is death. It's only the Jiva who gives life. Then the other one is, I'm your master and you are my servant, don't you know why you're disobeying me? And Jada Bharat gives a very, that's why he said transcendental knowledge is very special, transcendental knowledge, so what are you talking, you're my master, you're a master and I'm servant. This is just temporary, like, imagine, like you're in the traffic and then you do some mistake and the police officer comes and tells you, "Oh," and you say, "Why are you ordering me? You think you're a police officer. This is just temporary. Now you're a police, I'm just an ordinary citizen. But that can change. Tomorrow I'm the police officer and you are sitting in the car." Sounds like that. So from the material point of view, of course, King Rahuganath, he's the king, and Jada Bharat is just an ordinary person there. But from a spiritual point of view, and this is explained, especially Srila Vishnavad Chakravarti Thakur gives more explanation on this, that there is only one master, actually. And Vishnavad Chakravarti Thakur makes this point. He says, "You said that I am disobeying the order of the master. The status of servant, sva, and master, svamya, exist. When these are fixed, then one can say this person is fit to carry the palanquin. Uchate can mean it is said or it is suitable. If you give up the kingdom and obtain the kingdom, then I make you carry the palanquin and say, what is this?" So basically, Vishnu Chakravarti says here that, like in the present situation, I'm carrying your palanquin and you sitting on the top. But because this is a material designation, tomorrow it could be the other way around. That actually I'm sitting on the palanquin and you carrying. Because it's just material designation, king, servant, master. But to say that someone is a master and someone is a servant, that only has a true meaning if the position is fixed. If the position is eternal, then we can say, here is master, here is servant. Otherwise, yes, for the moment, but it is very temporary, and it's kind of illusory in that sense that it's not. It doesn't. The point is, it doesn't have so much meaning, and that's why one should not take it so seriously. But that's exactly what we do in the material world. We take it very seriously. Don't you know? I am now this and this. Like we identify GBC. Yeah. How was your trip to India? Yes, I became a GBC. I wrote a book, a quite successful trip. We could kind of, and that's the conditioned soul is very easily identifying with the roles that we hold, and then we become proud of it. Like, don't you know? I am this. I am that. And this is ahankara. This is the influence of the false ego. There's so many I's and so many Mai's. We can think, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a human, I'm a demigod, I'm a king, I'm a brahmana, I'm a chandala, I'm hungry, I'm sick, I'm a master, I'm a husband, I'm a wife, I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a daughter, I'm an enemy, a friend, I'm a pandit, learned, I'm a murkha, foolish, I'm wealthy, dhani, I'm poor, drida, I'm sukhi, happy, I'm dukhi, I'm distressed, I'm a hero, I'm weak. So many I's. And beside that, there is so many mineness. My home, my world, my body, my son, my daughter, my wife, my husband, my father, my mother, my strength, my bodily feature, my caste, my knowledge, my activity, my material assets, my property, my followers. so many types of I and my. Janasya moham aham yameti. These varieties of I and my are all samsara, material world. These conceptions of I and mine are not true in respect to the jiva. They are all material designation. Jivara Swarupahoy, Krishna Nityadas, this is your real identity. You are eternally a servant of Krishna. So basically, one who has very eagerly, attentively listened, he will also be able to speak strongly afterwards. And of course, that's how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur recognized Srila Prabhupada, our Prabhupada. He saw that this Abhay Babu, he's listening very well. He could recognize that. And because he was a very good listener, Prabhupada was a very strong speaker. So even in Sanskrit we have one word which is called, for those who are intelligent are called Bahu Shruta. Bahu means much and Shruta means heard. So those who have heard Bahu a lot, those who have heard a lot, they will become intelligent because they heard well. So, as we heard also yesterday, this hearing is actually not just a causal anga of bhakti. Like, okay, there is different programs. We have Bhagavatam class just before breakfast, and let's get through it so we can enjoy the feast. But actually, it's very serious because this is where so much transformation can take place. And therefore you see that actually the whole culture of Vaishnavism, there is a great seriousness around hearing. There's a great attention on hearing. So when the hearer and the listener, speaker, when they are coming together, everyone is tuned in, then incredible things can happen. And of course there is as you heard yesterday, the qualification of a speaker and listener are described in the first canto. Here are some descriptions. Vayum tuna vitrapyama uttama shloka vikrame yakshrinvatam rasakyanam sadhu svadhu svadhu pade pade. So these are the sages, they say, we never tire of hearing the transcendental pastimes of the personality of Godhead, who is glorified by hymns and prayers. Those who have developed a taste for transcendental relationships with him relish hearing of his pastimes at every moment. No, we never become tired. We want to hear more and more. This is 1:19. So Sudha Goswami has arrived and the sages have begun to ask questions. So their duty is to encourage the speaker, and therefore they say we are not tired, we want to hear. And actually, when this is very scientific, when a speaker sees that there is eagerness and there is humility, then the speaker is much more ready to open up. And it says that the Bhagavatam says the speaker, Sadhu, is like a cloud, and the cloud is filled with nectar or filled with water. But a cloud may or may not rain. No, it's not that the cloud immediately has to rain. So similarly, you cannot control it in the same way as Sadhu. They may reveal what gems are in their hearts, or they may not. They are completely satantra. They're like independent, and so it depends a lot from the eagerness of the audience. So if the speaker can see that there is some eagerness, they will just like to hear, then the speaker feels much more encouraged and much more nectar is coming out. Otherwise he will keep a little back, and then, okay, let's finish this business and so sometimes we may Jai Jagannath Baladev Sudra Shishi. So in that sense, as we heard also yesterday, we may come to Bhagavatam class and we just sit down and say, okay, let's listen what he has to say, but we are not really aware what role we play, because the quality of our listening influences the class. If we are eager, the class will have much more quality. As if we're just sitting there and like waiting till it is over, like that. Yeah, so the listening is not just a biological function that we just listen. Like a mother may tell a child, "Are you listening? Are you listening?" So obviously she's shouting at the child. I mean, of course the child is listening, but what she wants to ask, "Are you listening from your heart? You understood what I'm telling you, right?" Similarly, listening Bhagavatam is not just sitting there and okay, it goes in, but it's has something to do with our heart. Are we actually receiving that knowledge in that sense? So in the first canon we find different conversations. In the first 3 chapters we find the conversation between Sutta Goswami and the sages of Naimisharanya, headed by Shanaka Rishi. And there Sutta Goswami represents the quality of a speaker that is very utsaha, very enthusiastic. As a speaker is enthused, so he speaks enthusiastically. And of course, a speaker needs to be inspired by what he says. Basically, a speaker has been emotionally moved by the information that he's about to share. Like if the speaker has no emotion and he has no realization, and then he will just sit there and say something, what he has read, just read something, and but so there needs to be some. The speaker needs to be emotionally moved and also inspired by the knowledge that he gives. So in this way, his words can have more potency. And of course, at the end of the day, it's all about the purity of the speaker and the realizations. So when you are hearing a speaker who we don't hear the verse, and I think you also mentioned that yesterday, but we hear their conviction, we hear their taste, we hear how they relish, we hear their assimilation of what they are sharing. It's not just the words. And I also often feel like Sunday classes, people come first time to the temple and they're listening from someone. Most of the time, if they ask them half an hour later, what have you heard? They don't remember much. But they remember the person. They associated the whole hour. And speaking actually reveals a lot about the person. Someone is sitting there for a whole hour listening to one person. So they take a lot with them of what kind of person they were listening from. So that's why the characteristic of the person is actually much more important than what they say. Of course, it's also important what they say. But yeah, there is great responsibility on the side of the speaker. And then Shanaka Rishi and the sages, they represent Jigyasu. They represent the audience who is very, very eager and inquisitive, wants to hear. Then there is another conversation between Vyasa and Narada in chapters 4 to 6. Narada represents Bhagavad Kripa. So the speaker should not just be enthused about what they are speaking about, but they must have received the blessings from their seniors. Okay, it's good to be enthusiastic about what you're saying, but then also you need to have the blessings of the parampara, because you have heard in the parampara, so therefore you have received the blessings of your spiritual master and the other acharyas. So this is how parampara works, that one is simply being empowered by those who came before them. And therefore Narada Muni represents one who has received the blessings of the Lord and his devotees. You know, Narada Muni, his mother was a maidservant of some sages, and as a small boy he was listening from the sages. This way they became pleased and blessed him. And then Vyasadeva represents one who has been imbued with Shakti. It says that Krishna Shakti Vina na he Tarpa Vartana, that no one can spread the message of Krishna if they are not empowered by Krishna. This Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and Prabhupada often quoted that no one can actually spread the holy name around the world without being specially empowered by the Lord to do so. And So in this way, both are empowered. In this conversation, Narada, Vyasa, the speaker is empowered, and the listener is also empowered to listen. The Vakta is the speaker and the Shrota is the hearer. And when there is a combination, like if both are sincere, then actually it's very powerful. That's the point. And you touched on that yesterday. Like basically the attitude of the speaker should be, I'm simply like a pipe. Like if you turn on the water is coming out, but the water actually comes from the water reservoir, and then it's transported through via the pipe in. So the speaker just, he understands, this is not my knowledge, it's not that I have come up with this knowledge, but I'm simply representing what I have heard, and the knowledge actually comes from Krishna. So I'm simply a pipe. And that humility is required on the part of the speaker. But then on the part of the listener, what kind of humility is required there? That I don't know anything, I like to hear, I like to learn. If you walk in and say, oh, I have heard this many times before. Oh, again, he speaks about, I'm not this body. Why should I listen to this class? I know better than he. If that kind of mentality, what can we hear? So on both sides, humility is required, and then it can become very powerful, and Krishna actually manifests and touches the heart of everyone. So in this way, the Bhagavatam teaches us the culture of listening. Then here, Keshav Maharaj shares a story when he was a young brahmachari at the manor. You heard that, no? One morning he missed the morning announcement at the Mangal Arati. So he asks some devotee, who is giving class today? And that devotee became very serious. Why are you asking? Did you ask this morning before you went to see the deities who dressed the deity this morning? You didn't ask. Do we usually ask? Who dressed the deities this morning? Okay, then I will go and see the deities. This one dressed the deities? No, I'm not going to see the darshan. No, it's not. That's not how we think, right? Because the deities are beautiful, regardless of who dressing them. And we have a relationship to the deities. They are our lords, we want to see them. And we don't mind who dressed, in which way. Of course, we appreciate the beautiful dressing, but it's not that we're asking who dressed the deity this morning in order to see them. We may ask to glorify the pujari or to appreciate, but not to determine or decide whether we want to go or not. So similarly, the Bhagavatam is beautiful, and the Bhagavatam is not different from Krishna. And the process of hearing and listening, speaking and hearing is part of our spiritual practice. So it should not depend on who's speaking. Of course, it's quite natural. We are always curious who gives class. But that is the more higher attitude is, hearing Bhagavatam is service and speaking Bhagavatam is service, and let's do the service, That's the Bhagavad service. Doesn't matter who is speaking. It's a culture. It's a very important part of our tradition. And I wanted to say more, but time is almost up. And we also have Ramanujaracharya's appearance day. Thank you, Yamuna, for reminding us. So maybe we can just end with a little story. Which also, in the same context of, because Ramanujaracharya, of course, we know he was the great Acharya of the Sri Sampradaya, and he was an extraordinary personality, and studying his life is a great source of inspiration. It's quite, have you read this book? This is such the life of Ramanuja. Naimisharanya Das compiled it, but it's just a life story of Ramanuja Acharya. And it's a small book. It's and has some, but it's very impressive. Very impressive. Like every story is like, wow, it is amazing. Wow, this is amazing. Whew. Like every story is like far out, and this is, I mean, that shows, what kind of personality he was. And I'd just like to tell one or two stories in regard to the point that we spoke, instruction, the power of the words of a sadhu. And this chapter also, it's called Instructions to Disciples. And we hear how the words of a sadhu penetrates the heart of his followers. And you may have heard some of these stories, but we will just glorify Ramanuja, we'll tell them. So one day there was a festival in Sri Rangam. Anyone has been to Sri Rangam? Yeah, you've been there. Yeah, amazing place. Sri Rangam is it's Lord Ranganath Swami. Ranganath is Mahavishnu laying on Anantashesh, huge deity, very big deity. And it's said that actually Lord Brahma originally worshipped that deity. And it's also closely connected to Ramayana. And anyhow, it's a beautiful temple, very ancient temple. So in this temple of Sri Rangam, there was a great festival of Garuda, and thousands of people gathered in Sri Rangam to see the deity, because on that day, the Mahotsav Murti, like the festival Murti of Sri Rangam, Vishnu and Lakshmi, they were placed on Garuda, and like a palanquin, and brought outside the temple. And this is quite typical. I happened to live in Orissa for a year, and there was Dola Yatra. Gopal came out of the temple for like 2 weeks or so. Every day Gopal came out of the temple on a palanquin, and the devotees carrying Gopal into the villages. And then the villages like do kirtan, and they're bringing boga offering. Everyone is super blissful because now Krishna has come to my home. They do worship, and in the evening Gopal comes back to the temple. So in South India also often they do this kind of parade that sometimes the deity comes out. And then this was a huge parade, like in front there were elephants, all decorated with tilak. There were horses and thousands of people. The drums were played, brahmanas were chanting mantras and hymns. And it's a huge parade, and of course everyone was looking Vishnu, Lakshmi Narayan on Garuda, and everyone glorified Sri Ranganath. Everyone? Not everyone, because there was one person, his name was Dhanur Das, and he was holding an umbrella with the left hand, and with the right hand he was holding a chamara, and he was fanning fresh air to one beautiful lady that he was protecting from the heat of the sun. He was completely absorbed in that lady, just looking to that lady. And everyone else was like, Ranganath Swami Ki Jai, and he was just looking at the lady. So Yatiraj or Ramanuja Acharya, he saw that. It's very strange. Of course, especially in Indian culture, like such a display of affection in public is a little unusual. And especially when the Lord is coming. Usually like when the Lord comes in the palanquin and everyone drops everything, just pays attention to the Lord because the Lord has come. But he didn't. He was completely absorbed in his own world. So he called one of his servants, please go there and ask this man to see me. So he went there and tapped on the shoulder. He had to tap several times because he was so absorbed. Please, Yatiraj wants to see you. He was last. Ramanuja Acharya, the great sage, wants to see me. Why that? So okay. He left the umbrella with the girl and he crossed the street. He came to see. He paid obeisances, and then he asked. So he asked the man, why are you looking at this woman? It seems you have found so much nectar in the eyes of that young lady, but how is it that you don't pay attention to the Lord? So then the man said, oh Mahatma, I have seen many beautiful sights on this earth, but nothing which came even close to the matching the entracing beauty of the bright eyes of that young lady. When I see them, I became so captivated that I cannot look away. So he was completely the eyes of that woman, or everything. And then Ramanuja is asking, is she your wife? No, she's not married to me. But I will never love any other woman more than her. And then Ramanuja says, if I can show you a pair of eyes even more beautiful than those of your beloved, will you give up this lady and love the other? And he said, I mean, it's not possible, because there's no eyes more beautiful. But if, of course, if you can show me, then he said, okay, this evening you come to my ashram, you come to the temple. And then Ramanuja took him and brought him in front of the altar. And if you have been there, I mean, you've not been there, but it's a huge temple, but actually the temple room itself is quite small. That's how these ancient temples are built, and it's very dark. There's no lights. And then the murti is also black. It's a black murti and it's dark. So then when the priest lights the ghee lamp and offers the lamp, that's actually the time when you really see the murti. So the priest came and with a lamp. I was once there in India with my brother on a Tirtha Yatra. Then the priest told me, see the God, and show the lamp. My brother. So similarly, they show the lamp in front of the eyes of Ramanuja, of Sri Ranganath Swami, the Murti. And when that Dhanuda saw the beautiful lotus-like eyes of the Lord, he was completely astonished, And his heart transformed by seeing these beautiful eyes. And actually, he became a disciple of Ramanuja. Then they got them properly married. And the wife also became a disciple, and they became very close to Ramanuja Acharya. And there is more stories about the instruction of Ramanuja to his disciples, but the time is up. Ramanuja Acharya ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur jai. Kripa Sindhu Vaishnava